On epaw.org, you will see there's over 22 countries calling for a halt to wind turbine construction until things get sorted out. I wanted to start just with a sampling of some of the published newspaper articles, just little clips, just so you understand what's going on. And I hope most of this is relevant, although it's from Ontario. The first one from Goderich, Ernie Marshall, who I have met, at first supported the wind farm that was placed near his home near Goderich, Ontario. However, he also says once the turbines got rolling, his health began to suffer. I had problems with my heart, with my eyes, my digestive system, Marshall told CTV News. It traumatizes your whole body. Everyone was calling me a liar. From Langton, Ontario, Roger Oliveira, each day is a struggle with excessive stress, anxiety, depression, headaches, and ear and stomach problems. Says Roger, who lives on the 7th line in Langton. I rarely get a full night's sleep and have become dependent on prescribed sleeping pills to fall asleep. The sound comes right through my walls and I can no longer open my windows. From Bert Seeliger, Clear Creek, Ontario, a different wind farm. In over a year, we've been trying to convince the wind farm developer and the government authorities of our personal situation regarding wind farm noise, sound pressure, and vibration without success. And yes, depending on the wind, speed, and direction, the impact of cyclical noise can be extreme. Believe me, we've tried to get used to it. Those three are out of their homes, by the way. They can't live in their homes. Helen Fraser, Shelburne, Ontario. The strobe effect gave her a pounding headache, Mrs. Fraser said. One day after 45 minutes, I went to the basement. The dog beat me there. I thought the top was coming off my head. I was holding the sides of my head, my eyes were running, and I was sick to my stomach. In 2007, on their 34th wedding anniversary, the Frasers moved into a house in the nearby town of Shelburne. The company had made them an offer, and it broke their hearts to have to move. Tracy Whitworth, a teacher in Clear Creek, Ontario. I'm angry, helpless, and disappointed our government would let something like this happen. I am appalled at their ignorance and lack of compassion. It saddens me to watch my family and friends suffer from the same health effects of the turbines. I spend as much time away as I can from my home, away from my son, who is also sleep deprived. We are exhausted and miserable, and what was once a beautiful place to live has been destroyed. I could go on for 2 hours with this, and I'm not going to. I'll get into the rest of it. I do have more, but I know it's going to take too long. But these are real people, and I've met pretty much all of them now. And they're just the tip of the iceberg, because most people are afraid to come out publicly. They're worried about their property values. They're afraid they won't be able to sell their house if they have to get out. So it's not anecdotal information, as we all hear. For at least 5 years, people have been warning our government officials about what is happening, and yet they're still denying the problems. With new legislation in Ontario acted in 2009, favoring the wind industry, ordinary families remain powerless to big industry and government and continue to suffer in their homes. Many have had to abandon their homes, living with relatives or renting a place to sleep while their own house sits empty. Some have moved into the basements to try to get to sleep. Almost every week I'm hearing from new families that because more turbines are going up, they won't stop them. My husband and I were happy, healthy, and productive, but in 2009 we had to leave our home. We both got sick and our pets were affected. After the turbines started up in our area, we became so ill we had to leave. We experienced episodes of chest pressure, ringing in the ears, recurring headaches, stomach aches, sleep deprivation, thickness in the head and plugged ears, infection requiring antibiotics, skin rashes, heart palpitations, nausea, dizziness, cognitive and memory problems, profuse bleeding from the nose that required treatment, and my husband had a diagnosis of hyperthyroidism. We were fine before these turbines started, and this all happened within 7 months. That's why we had to get out. And all of the symptoms, once we moved, disappeared. Some within a couple of weeks, the headaches and such. The hyperthyroidism came back to normal after a few months. He didn't go on any medication because we knew what was causing the problem. But our government still denies there are problems. And there is new up-to-date peer-reviewed evidence and thousands of complaints and correspondence via letter, email, submissions to formal registries and standing committees that have gone into our ministry. In 2009, the provincial leaders requested Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Arlene King, to research wind turbines and their effect on health. I can only guess it's because the reports of the ill health were increasing and increasing. They had to do something about it. And I corresponded with Dr. King numerous times as she was working on her review and told her what was going on with people in the province and asked her to consider and acknowledge the families that were being hurt. And some had been abandoning their homes. People just don't abandon their homes. Some of them had lived in their homes for decades, but after the turbines started operating, they had to leave to save their health. Dr. King did not contact any of the families, and in May 2010, she released a cherry-picked literature review concluding there were no direct causal links between wind turbines and adverse health effects. She didn't do a health study. She didn't talk to anybody. And although she was researching an issue that had many reports of ill health, she didn't do any speaking to any of the families. She knew about them. She's irreparably betrayed the public's trust. And our government and wind developers are using her literature review worldwide, saying Ontario says there's no problems, and they're leaders in renewable energy. So I just want you to understand, if you see that report come up, this is what this woman has done to Ontario.